I was definitely just talking for like a minute thinking it was recording and it wasn't recording. We have a lot to cover in today's video. Hey y'all, it's your girl back with another video. So for today's video, we're going to be talking about the season of Love is Blind season 6. If you haven't watched it, this is going to be your warning. I'm going to be spilling tea. Okay, not necessarily spilling any new tea, but you know, talking about it. So Love is Blind is basically a show where there are 15, I think it's like 12 to 15 men and 12 women who go into these pods where they cannot see each other, but they're talking to each other through a wall. And so to get to the next stage, they have to propose in order to meet the girl, to see each other face to face. And then they go on through living with each other for a little bit, meeting each other's family and stuff, and then at the end there's a wedding, and then not everybody makes it to the wedding, and we'll talk about that too. But at the wedding they get to decide if they want to stay married or just break off, or some people will like still, I guess, date each other even after the wedding. But yeah, that's how it works. And this season was filmed in Charlotte. Let me just go ahead and get started. We are doing a chit chat get ready with me. I do a lot of chit chat get ready with me's. This has been the longest intro and it's okay. We're gonna do a chit chat get ready with me talking about all the tea. So if you're interested, just stay tuned. So I have a couple of appointments to go to later, but I just wanted to do a chit chat get ready with me talking about all the tea. I even made notes. I had been putting this video off, and low-key it's been like, I don't want to say it's overdue because the season has came and went, but I low-key was wanting to refresh my memory and rewatch the season all over again to like take notes and stuff. But then I was also like, girl, it's been things that you can, you know, pull out of your head already. Like, we don't need to do all that. So I made some notes and we have a lot to cover, so buckle up. This might be a long one, honestly. Let me just show y'all. These are all my notes. Do not forget your sunblock. I'm wearing a turtleneck because it's low-key still cold in my house. We woke up and the house was at 66 today. Okay, so I want to start off by the comment that made the internet just like blow up. So Chelsea, one of the contestants on the show, when she was in the pods with her soon-to-be partner in the show, Jimmy, they were talking about stuff, and then she was like, hey, has anybody ever told you look like a celebrity? Mind you, she was setting that question up to answer it herself. Like, girl. Anyway, so then he's like, yeah, I have. And then she's like, me too, and I get it all the time. She's like, only because I have dark hair and light eyes. And then he's like, say it. And she's like, I don't know if it's like MGK's wife or girlfriend. You know exactly who she was. Like, there's no, like, she knew Megan Fox. She just didn't want to like say it. And so she told this man that people tell her all the time that she looks like Megan Fox. Girl. And you know, Chelsea is a very pretty girl, like she's very beautiful, but I feel like she kind of took it a little bit overboard when she said she looked like Megan Fox. And mind you, you have to think about it from the perspective of a man, right? Because men are very visual beings. And so you tell this man that she looks like Megan Fox. When she told him that, his face lit up. Like, he was like, can we get married? So he already has this like emotional connection with her. So now he wants to be with her even more because of this comment. Okay, girl. But yeah, no, I feel like everybody went crazy on the internet when when she said that. It was so funny. But you know what? She actually handled like all of the backlash that came with that really well. In my opinion, I think she definitely did. Interestingly enough, and I think I might have mentioned this on like a previous video, or maybe, I don't know, I can't remember. But I have a really close friend. He actually was casted for Love is Blind, but it was so crazy because I remember he texted my boyfriend, him and my boyfriend are friends too. He was like, hey, what's y'all's emails so I can invite y'all to a wedding? We were like, wedding? Like, who's getting married? And mind you, so he also DJs on the side, so we were thinking that, you know, maybe he's gonna be a DJ at a wedding for the first time or something, and he just wanted us to be there. And then it turns out he said that he got casted for Love is Blind, and that if he was to make it to the wedding, that he would, like, they would email us to invite us. And I thought that was so cool. And then fast forward to filming and then actually like putting the show up for everybody to see, his storyline did not get picked up, and I'm assuming it's because he didn't propose to anybody. And that was because I remember my boyfriend, he told me, he said that he just couldn't, it was too quick. Like, he did have feelings for somebody, but he just couldn't do it because it was way too quick and there was no way he was gonna be able to propose in that amount of time. So But anyways, on to my next point. Can we talk about Matthew? Matthew was a very odd person, okay? I couldn't tell if he was just very weird or if he was pretending to be very weird for the show. I don't know if y'all recall, but he would like reference like being on TV a lot. And so in the back of my head, I'm like, is he like playing off of what he thinks people will see him as, you know? So I don't know, it was very interesting and it was very odd, but who knows, right? And then he got caught lying to both girls, telling them the same things. Like, what did he think was gonna happen? And I think it was so crazy how, like, in one of the episodes where he was talking to AD, and I think he was telling her, hey, I would like to leave with you, I'm just waiting for you or something. He was like, oh, are you gonna talk to anybody about what we said or what I told you today? And then she was like, no, I just want to keep it to myself, I just want to bask in it or something. I can't remember what she said. But he's very calculated, because he knew, he was hoping that if she wasn't gonna share it with other people, she would tell him, right? Because he wanted to see where she was at so that he could play off of that to the next girl that he was talking to, which was another girl named Amber, interestingly enough. He didn't end up making it through with anybody, and that's what he gets, honestly. Motherfuckers like to play games and then question why shit don't be going right for them. I'm gonna quickly do my eyebrows off camera just so that we can like keep it going. Y'all, I be having a really hard time trying to get my eyebrows to look the fucking same, and this is just as good as it's gonna get, because I'm not trying to spend more time on them. So my next talking points, and I wanted to point it out because this should have been the biggest indicator of Clay's personality and character. So I think, I'm not sure what number date they were on, but it was very early on when Clay first started talking to AD, and then I think they were like starting to get very flirtatious. He was like, ooh, I want to kiss you right now, I should kiss you right now. Like, you just met this girl and you already here talking about you want to kiss her already? I don't know, I just feel like that was a little too strong. I just feel like he could have been more respectful, and that wasn't too respectful of AD. Like, you just met her, like, you're already coming off very like lustful, and it's just like, ugh, it's kind of gross, you know? I also want to talk about Sarah Ann, and this is gonna be a little bit of a hot take, because number one, she is not girl's girl. I will never not say that, because you just don't do that. So we all know how Sarah Ann and the DM that she sent to Jeremy, and this was post him being engaged. Like, this was after he got engaged already. This was after he already chose to be with Laura. I don't know if y'all are not familiar or not, but Sarah Ann, she DM'd Jeremy, was like, hey, I really appreciated the experience with you, getting to know you, da da da. If the door is still open, or if you decide to change your mind, da da da, I'm here. Very much pick me. And like, I don't know, I have deep-rooted issues with women who try to be involved. I don't want to say deep-rooted, but I just feel like I cannot respect women who deal with men who are in relationships or are married. Like, I just feel like you just don't do that. And I feel like as a girl, as a woman, you would never want that to be done to yourself. So why would you do that to somebody else, to another woman? I can't respect it. I can't get along with it. I don't know, right? But on the other side, and this is not me like excusing or condoning her behavior, but from her point of view, I can understand how she was like, in her head, she was very much well aware of the experiment, and that, you know, it is Love is Blind. So how serious are people actually, you know? Because I know there's some people who go on the show and they don't really go on the show to find love. You know, they go on the show to just are like, oh, you know, whatever happens, it'll be fun experience, whatever. So maybe in her head, she was like, I'm gonna just hit him up and see what he says. Like, granted, it's just a show. So it is a hot take. I have Libra somewhere in my chart. Not to get about astrology on you guys, but I can see different sides, and I'm not gonna be on her side whatsoever, but I can understand it a little bit. Jeremy was a dickhead, we'll just say that. I feel like, y'all remember how Laura caught him in the lie? And he pretended, he was like, oh, we were just talking in the parking lot. And I'm almost sure that they definitely fucked that night. And I don't know why. I feel like they what's that word when they convoluted, whatever. What's the word? The word is to collude. I feel like they colluded with each other, and they just agreed on this lie, and they stuck to it so that nobody would know. But I think they definitely did something that night, because you don't just, Jeremy just doesn't look like that kind of guy, and neither does Sarah Ann, respectfully, I'm sorry. But like, she just looks like an evil character. I can't remember, I was talking to one of my clients and she was telling me that she just looks like an evil character. She does, she kind of does. I don't know what it is. Some people just have that aura about themselves, and honestly, not being a girl's girl, I mean, it just shows, you know? I hated that for Laura, because Laura was actually, I feel like she was a real bitch. Like, she really was. And I feel like she just needs somebody to be honest with her, and she was hoping that Jeremy would be that for her, and she was not. Like, she really put all her eggs in his basket. And like, she even said that she had invited her grandma from I don't know where. Her flight was booked to come to her wedding. Like, she was all in. And it's just really sad that, you know, I feel like it happens a lot where like women will be all in, and then the man will just be in it for like shits and giggles, which is very unfortunate. Okay, so we're gonna run it back a little bit and we're gonna talk about, so this also can be a hot take. So remember that one scene where Chelsea and Jimmy are arguing, and I guess they're arguing about Jimmy's relationship with one of his like girlfriends. He was like, oh, we don't have a physical relationship, and she was like, you do, you fucked her. And this was a tipping point in their relationship, according to them. Apparently he had told her off camera, hey, I have been involved with this woman, just want to let you know, because he wanted to be transparent with her, especially since he is still around this woman, right? And so he told her about this woman, but he also didn't want her to like say it on camera. So I guess in that moment Chelsea got really heated and said it on camera, and that was a moment where Jimmy says that she betrayed his trust, which I can understand, but I can also understand Chelsea's side, because I guess she was just really caught up in the heat of the moment, and she kind of just like, sometimes that happens and it doesn't make it okay, because I feel like with your partner you do want to have that trust factor. And so yeah, that was really sad. I don't want to say it was really sad, but I guess if things could have worked, and I don't know if they could have worked with Jimmy and Chelsea, because he just seemed like he was too open to being with other bitches in the whole process, and that's just my opinion, honestly. See, what else do we want to talk about? Can we also really quickly talk about the comment that Jimmy made? I think this was when they had first met each other, when all the couples first saw each other for the first time in Mexico. Were they in Mexico? I can't remember. I feel like they go to Mexico a lot, but they might have not been there this year. Anyways, he made a comment to fucking Chelsea about AD's butt. He was like, she is stacked. And I'm like, I think it's very fine for a woman, and this is me, just my opinion, you know, like I feel like it's perfectly fine for me to tell my boyfriend, hey, did you see that girl's ass? It's huge. But it's another thing for your boyfriend to tell you she's stacked. And you know, I think that was one of the things about Jimmy that I'm like, you can't be doing that. Like, do you really respect Chelsea if you're over here talking like that to your woman about another woman? I think that's crazy, but maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm crazy. Sorry if I'm jumping around, but I just feel like there's so much to talk about, and I did not write these down in chronological order, and that's fine. But after the season aired, I think there had been a few people going on interviews and stuff, and then comments were being made by Clay and one of his friends. Apparently Clay did mention in the season that he was concerned about AD's finances, and he just wasn't sure like where she was like getting money from, right? And then one of my clients, she told me that apparently, I think during the season, or maybe after, or maybe they didn't get married because Clay ran into AD's, one of her mans or whatever, where they ran into him at the club and like he tried to fight him or something. I can't remember if that was correct or not, so don't quote me. So he was like taken off back because of that. But apparently the people are saying, and by people I mean Clay's friend, that apparently AD had a sugar daddy and that she wasn't even a real estate agent, that she was just like saying that because she wanted to say that she was doing that versus like receiving money for her life by this sugar daddy man. I don't know how true these things are. We don't know if that's true, or if maybe Clay's friends were just trying to have his back, because I think towards the end of the season, when the weddings came about, people were just really talking shit about Clay and how he shouldn't have taken AD to the altar if he knew he wasn't gonna marry her. And honestly, from my opinion, and maybe this is me just like knowing a few things because of how things played out after filming or whatever, I felt like it was pretty evident that he was not gonna marry AD. And I feel like he also received a lot of backlash for taking her all the way to the altar, because Jimmy, when he finally decided that he wasn't trying to marry Chelsea for real, or maybe he already knew, but he finally told Chelsea that he wasn't trying to marry her. He told her, he was like, hey, I don't want to go to the altar, like I'm not trying to do that. And so people are like saying, oh, that's very respectable of Jimmy to do, because it saves her time and like, you know, it doesn't make her look as bad, I guess. And so when it came to Clay and AD, they went to the altar and he told her no at the wedding, which was like very sad, honestly, because it felt like AD really did want to do things with him, but they were just not on the same page. Okay, I went ahead and did my eyelashes. Also, I put some mascara on. I'm about to go in with eyelashes right now. But anyways, back to Clay taking AD all the way to the altar, and he was getting so much shit for that. And honestly, okay, here's also maybe a hot take. I feel like the internet really went in on him only because of what Jimmy did prior. Like, they edited it in a way to where they showed Jimmy cutting it off, well, obviously because they didn't make it to the wedding. So he cut off Chelsea prior to making it to the altar, because he was like, hey, I love you, da da da, but I can't go to the altar. So they're like, oh, that was very respectable of Jimmy. And then we see Clay and AD go all the way to the altar, and he says no after she said yes. So the drama, right? But in my opinion, I feel like they gave him a lot of shit, even though in prior seasons, and I've seen all seasons of Love is Blind, in prior seasons there was a lot of many instances where people went all the way to the altar and said no. I think as reality TV shows come out with more seasons, especially with the ones that are like dating ones, the more seasons they come out with, the more people know what they can get away with, if that makes sense. They know they're not required to do everything that it seems like they have to do. Like they can just say, hey, I would rather just stop here rather than going the whole process and saying no at the end when I already know what I want. So I think in previous seasons there were other people who went all the way to the altar when, in my opinion, I feel like they already knew they weren't trying to get married to this person. For example, do y'all remember that one season with Bartise? He was the one that Bartise and Nancy, he was on there with Raven, and I can't remember that other guy's name that he was like cheating on somebody from somewhere else. But Bartise, he said no at the altar to Nancy, and I think Nancy did want to go through with the wedding and get married to him, but I feel like from the very beginning he did not. Like he was telling Nancy to her face that Raven was his type, and I just feel like when you respect somebody and love somebody, you're not going to do that. So clearly she was not for him, and he knew that. But he took it all the way to the altar. And in that season, I feel like there were a few others where they take it all the way to the altar, but they didn't really receive the backlash that people are getting now for going all the way to the altar. So that's a hot take in my opinion. I think that's just what happens when more seasons come out, and people really like to pick and choose what they want to rile up about. So it just is unfortunate for the people who are involved, and it affects. But honestly, that's what comes with being on reality TV. You kind of have to roll with the punches. And I think some people also aren't really self-aware enough to realize how they're gonna come off on camera and to the public, you know? I feel like that's why Clay was having a hard time with all those things, but that's just, it is what it is. I thought AD was super sweet, super nice. I don't know her personally, you know, but she looked like she was a good girl. I really did like how she called out Sarah Ann, and she was like, what the fuck were you doing? She didn't say it like that, but she was like, girl, what was you doing? Like, why was you going to this man knowing good and well that he was engaged? He did not pick you. Why did you ask him if the door was still open? Like, that was very not girl of you. So I'm glad that she did tell her that, because some people be afraid to speak up to people, and it's just like, no, some people need to be called out so that they know what the fuck they're doing and like repeat. Like, I don't know if you're just not self-aware, but that shit is not okay. I think there was a few points. Let's see. I think with Amy and Amy and Johnny, there were so many J names in this season. I thought they were a very cute couple. I thought it was very cute how Amy's dad could really see that that Johnny was like really about Amy, and how at first he was hesitant, but then he saw how they interacted and how they worked together, and then he was like, you know what, I like this guy. And I thought that was really nice, because I feel like the process does work for a lot of people, but I feel like you get two kinds of people that go onto the show, maybe three. So you get the kind who are actually in it for the purpose of the show, which is to find somebody that loves you for you and you actually want to get married. And then you have the people who go on the show just to be on TV, and they know what it can do for your career. Being on TV and being a reality star can catapult you into becoming like an online presence, and you can capitalize off of that. And I think some people know that, and so they go on there for that reason, or just to be on TV and for publicity, right? And then you have the people who go on there for shits and giggles. And I feel like you just don't know what you're gonna get till you're there, honestly. It really just depends also on the people who cast the people. I'm sure they have to cast a variety of personalities for the show to be successful, and I think they really did a good job this season. They didn't really have a lot of positive outcomes aside from Amy and Johnny, but good for them. There was a moment where they were in the pods, and Amy was talking about how it's very important for her to have a partner who is very supportive, because she has a brother who is on the spectrum of autism. People with autism they just can't really understand like social cues and stuff like that, so they kind of just like operate a little bit differently. But they're very smart people, they're very genuine people, but sometimes they just aren't perceived by society as normal because they just interact a little bit differently. And so Amy mentioned to Johnny that it is very important for her to have a supportive husband, because one day, you know, God forbid something happened to her parents, and she would have to be the one to step in and take care of her brother. And she said it's very important for her to have somebody who can understand that and not be afraid to like step in and like let them, you know, if they need to like house them for a little bit until they can get up on their own. and Johnny was very supportive of that. And honestly, props to him and props to her for like being strong and voicing this to her partner. And because sometimes you don't really get supportive partners like that, and I think blessed are those who do. And it's very important, I think, for the relationship to find somebody like that. It's important to find somebody who cares about the things that you care about the way that you do. So I thought that was really sweet. Let's see what else. So I'm going through my list and I only have a couple more topics to talk about. But I also want to talk about the reunion. I feel like the reunion was definitely a lot better this year. I feel like in previous seasons, I don't know if I really like fuck with the hosts. I feel like sometimes it just feels like there's too, it doesn't come off like natural. It feels like they're trying too hard to come off a way, or I don't know what it is, but it's just, I don't know. I watch a lot of reality TV, so Real Housewives, Vanderpump Rules, all of those. And Andy Cohen, he is one of the producers and he is a host on the reunions, and I just think he does such a good job compared to the people on Love is Blind. The Lachey's, Andy does such a good job. Like he comes out with the tea, he can be shady, and he just knows how to rile the girls up and how to bring them back together too. But I think this year was a better reunion for sure. They brought out quite a few people, honestly, and a lot of people showed up, which was good. I hate when people be afraid to go to the reunion. It's like, no, you signed up to be on the reality TV show, then you have to go to the reunion. I feel like it should be in the contract that you have to go. But anyways, Trevor, they brought out Trevor and they brought out the receipts, honey. What happened was, as the show was being released, I think one of Trevor's friends with benefits or one of his girlfriends came out and posted text receipts of him admitting, hey, I'm gonna pretend it's not gonna be for real, it's me for fake. And so I guess maybe she got like upset about how the show was transpiring, and so she posted the receipts and everybody was coming for him because, you know, before the receipts had been posted, he was coming off as a very like a nice guy, right? But I guess it was just all for show, or maybe it wasn't. I guess we'll never really know. But he was lying to the girlie and he just wasn't really being honest. So they brought him out, and when they brought him out, I just thought it was so cringy. Like, how are you a grown man? And he just like, they asked him a few questions about, I guess they asked him if he wanted to like make a comment about everything that had been put out, and he like froze. He came on a stage and it was very awkward. Maybe I'll post a video of him coming up to the stage, and then he just froze. He was like, froze. A grown man froze on camera. It's perfectly fine to have stage fright, but I feel like when you have the audacity to go on a show and pretend like you're one person and put up a front, no, motherfucker, you better explain yourself. 80 said to say with your motherfucking chest, motherfucker. Anyways, I need to stop cursing, but I just thought it was so cringy. Like, what? And then on top of that, I feel like they were going in on him and he was like, can I just leave? Like, I just felt like that was like he was acting like a child. Like, it was like, no. It was just very cringy. Like, he couldn't take it, I guess, but very, very cringe. And then I didn't really touch on too much about Kenneth and what was her name? She was very nice. I think it was Brittany. Yeah, Brittany. She was very sweet. Kenneth, I don't know. I've heard a lot of things about that man that I don't want to talk about because I don't think it's my business. But I just thought it was very strange. I think everybody was coming out talking about, oh, he's always on his phone, always on his phone. And he was like, oh, it's because whenever we were on the show, they took our phones away. And so when we finally got back to like Charlotte, they finally gave in their phones. And he was just like catching up because he's a very present principal and this and that, blah, blah. And it's just like, no, I don't care what your job is. I feel like, especially a principal, I feel like you should have your hours where, yes, you dedicate your time to your students and parents and whoever it is that might need you at the school, but you are also in a relationship with this person, and this person is also going through this process with you. I don't, like, there's no excuse for you to not be present, especially in conversations where you're talking about your relationship. I think being on your phone when you're like having serious conversations is just like, like, do you even respect me? Like, that's crazy. And so I just feel like it was a cop-out excuse, super like lame, that he said, oh, I'm a principal, so this is why I was on my phone all the time. No, I think that was just so dumb. I was not rocking with him. And I think they are now friends or whatever. Brittany was very sweet. I thought she was a very nice girl. And I think it's a shame that she didn't get what she wanted out of the show, because I feel like she came in with a good heart and she was just another one that bit the dust. I'm gonna finish the rest of my makeup and then wrap up in a second. I'll be right back. All right, so makeup is done, hair is done. I have been rocking this side. Bang moment, sometimes it just be a lot to deal with the bangs, I'm not gonna lie to you, but I do like how this looks too. It gives me kind of a little bit more it's more functional, especially since I am about to go take a couple clients. But yeah, I feel like that wraps up this video. This was a very fun one. I watch a lot of reality TV and I really like all of the seasons, and I really like Love is Blind. I think it can create a conversation, right? And I think I like shows like that, especially because you get to see different personalities and different situations play out, especially when it's not your life. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate every single one of you. Thank you so much for being here, and please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and also give this video a huge thumbs up. It would really help me out. And yeah, I really hope to see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.